Hi. I saw a video on YouTube that said something like, deep breathing is dangerous. Now, this is an interesting subject, and I thought the information in that video was really off. I don't want to, badmouth other YouTubers, and I'm not going to mention the guy's name because I'm sure he mentioned he means it really to help people, but basically in that video claiming that deep breathing is dangerous because you hyperventilate and you should do breathing techniques like, for example, the Wim Hof method only once a month without explaining anything further. Now, it kind of triggered me to even leave a comment like, dude, seriously, you state the problem, but you don't come with the solution, so can you explain this better? Because you're basically telling people that deep breathing is dangerous, point, period. And that's it. And so for me, a reason to share with you what I know or what I think I know, because, as you maybe have heard in other videos of me, it's like I don't claim to hold the truth. I'm just a nerd that is very interested in deep breathing in breathing techniques in general, not only deep breathing techniques, but breathing techniques in general. I'm an instructor in the Wim Hof method, but there's much more than the Wim Hof method breathing. So let me just give you what I feel is closer to the truth, and emphasizing the fact that I am the know-nothing teacher. I'm just sharing with you the information that I know. But if you have anything to comment where I may be wrong, this is how I learn, through your comments, then please let me know. All right? Okay, first, what is deep breathing? What is the definition of deep breathing? Because for me, deep breathing is a breath first to the belly, or maybe even belly only. And like during breathing techniques, I do belly and then pull it to the chest. Like maybe 70% is in the belly, 30% is in the chest. I breathe fully to the belly in and then pull it to the chest like 10%. So a deep breath for me is 80% in, because if you do 100%, you're like, try too hard, if you try too hard, really, then take a step back, please. And then the claim that deep breathing techniques, like the phase 1 of the Wim Hof method, you breathe deep for 30 to 40 times, that it is hyperventilation. That is really, that really triggered me to make this video, because we call it overbreathing or controlled hyperventilation. Now, it is something completely different from hyperventilation. Let me explain what the difference is. When you hyperventilate, first of all, your state of mind is a bit in anxiety. I have hyperventilated when I was 12 years old, right after the death of my father, for about 1.5 years. That's, it's very uncomfortable. So I know what it feels like, and I don't have it anymore. When you hyperventilate, you are in a state of stress, and you want to breathe to the chest and get that full breath in, but you can't. So you keep on breathing high in the chest. First of all, 70% of our lung capacity is in breathing to the belly, diaphragm breathing. 30% is in the chest. If you use chest only, you use only 30% of your lung capacity. Now, a deep breath to the belly is something completely different than hyperventilating. If you would do a session of Wim Hof breathing as an example, but any, deeper breathing techniques would hold for that matter. You start in a very calm state, lying on the mat. And that's one difference. The starting point is, when you do a breathing session, is calmness, and when you are hyperventilating, it's stress. one big difference. The second difference is that when you take a deep breath to the belly, I'm actually thinking now it's impossible to hyperventilate because you can breathe deep to the belly and, don't have that panicky feeling. In fact, if you breathe to the belly, you will only be a calmer person. Now, so over-breathing is something different than hyperventilation. The starting point is different, and when you breathe to the belly, you are not breathing to the chest, you're not like hyperventilating, right? So over-breathing is something different than hyperventilation. I really want to make that point. That's why I make so much movement with my hands. Now, is deep breathing dangerous? Well, if you are hyperventilating continuously, because in that breathing phase, you are activating your fight or flight or your sympathetic nervous system. Now, if you're always breathing high in the chest and you're always like hyperventilating, you will take too much oxygen in and breathe too much CO2 out. And what is happening then, this is called the Bohr effect. Your muscle tissue, if there is a level of CO2 that is below the Bohr level threshold, so if it's too low, simply said, the muscles don't take up oxygen. Yeah, this is a bit paradox within our body. Yes, we need oxygen, but if we continuously are hyperventilating and always are, first of all, in the state of fight or flight, but other than that, you breathe out too much CO2, the level of CO2 is too low, and this is where oxygen cannot come into your muscle and your nerve tissue anymore. All right, so from that point of view, it is not beneficial. Dangerous is a big word, especially if you don't explain it, but it's not beneficial for two reasons. You're stressed. Three reasons. You're stressed, you breathe to the chest, you use 30% of your lung capacity. And reason number three is that you might trigger that Bohr effect and have a lack of oxygen in your muscle tissue. All right? So basically, if you breathe deep to the belly, you can breathe deep. And then, what is happening automatically, because if I walk and I kind of, check in with my breath and I notice that I'm breathing to the belly, is that I breathe out twice as long than I breathe in. So for example, 4 counts in, 8 out. Something like that. Now, if you do that, there's absolutely no danger in deep breathing. The statement that breathing techniques like the Wim Hof method are not beneficial if you do them every day are not true. There's absolutely no evidence that this is dangerous. If you're asking, is it a stressor? Well, the Wim Hof method breathing technique, phase 1 is breathing deeply. If you breathe deeply, and you over-breathe, you get a lot more air in, you are activating that sympathetic nervous system. But then because of the breath hold, the total opposite is happening. So you could see that a breathing technique like the Wim Hof method with breathing deeper, holding your breath, is actually much like interval training with running. You take a sprint and then you walk. And from building muscle that you build muscle when you rest, right? So stating that deep breathing is dangerous would be the same as stating that running is dangerous because you activate your fight or flight and you breathe more. Now, of course, nothing is 100% true or untrue because, if you have running is of course healthy for you unless you're untrained and you start to run a marathon without training, then it's super unhealthy. If you're obese, I wouldn't run either, so you don't hear me say running is always good, and for sure not that running is always bad. Now, what happens if you have a running practice? Your heartbeat goes up, you're activating that fight or flight, temperature goes up, Adrenaline levels rise slightly, you know, this is why you get like active. But, you know, having a running practice, although because you run, your heartbeat goes up, it's temporarily. And if you do this often, you will have a lower heartbeat. Top sporters have a much lower heartbeat than people that don't work out. Exactly the same is true for breathing techniques. So yes, you can do Wim Hof method breathing every day. And if you look at the analogy of running, you know, doing the Wim Hof method, the phase one, over breathing the whole day would be unhealthy. It would be impossible too, because at a certain moment you get so dizzy that you might like pass out. You always want to be safe because there is always a danger, very small one, but the danger to pass out. So you never want to do this in the water, driving a car or on your bicycle, whatever. But that aside, you know, what happens if you do a breathing like technique, like 4 rounds of Wim Hof method every day, you will notice that you will breathe much slower through the day. Yeah, so here a little connection with Buteyko. Buteyko is basically saying, breathe as slow as you can. And those are my 2 words. You know, if you take one thing away from one of my courses, it's breathe slowly. By slowing down your breathing, you get to relieve stress, you get to be calmer, you get to be happier. Breathing through the belly, you get like a better gut, where your gut is working better, like all these benefits. But if you do a breathing, like 4 rounds, 15 minutes of breathing every morning with deep breathing and breath hold, then you will notice that through the day, your breath is much slower and much lower. Yeah, so lower in the belly and slower, which is like why doing a Wim Hof method breathing every day is so beneficial. There's many more benefits, like my head is full of, I want to mention all the benefits, but you know, like I refer to another video or to your comments about this, what you would like to have explained more, and I can just make another video because I want to close down this video soon. So a breathing technique like the Wim Hof method, it's much like having a daily running practice where you run like 2 miles or something, you know, a little bit, 20 minutes. Long-term effect is a slower heartbeat. Long-term effect of doing Wim Hof breathing techniques every morning is that you will breathe less than other people. Have a lower heartbeat. Be much calmer. With being calmer, you have less stress. With less stress, you're happier. You know, and I think I should finish this video with those words, which is, what is the key to happiness? Well, let's be honest. If we have less stress, we're happier, right? How do we have less stress? By being able to slow down your breathing. So the key to happiness is in 2 simple words: breathe slowly. Thank you for your time. It's a bit longer than I was planning, but let me know, please, what you know. You know, give it a thumbs up if you like this video. Subscribe to my channel if you know, and if you really want to be annoyed, you can hit that notification button, because then every time I post a video, which is like twice a week, you get an email from YouTube that I posted a new video. And please let me know what you think. Thank you. Talk to you soon.